Dear viewer, good evening and welcome to Current Issue. With me tonight, the City Council President for City of Dearborn, Susan Dabja. Susan, welcome to MEA.
Thank you so much, Wally and MEA, for having me. I look forward to this interview.
Thank you. Tell me about, now you are holding the City Council President for the City of Dearborn, right?
Yes.
Okay, for how long you been as City Council President?
So I was elected back in November 2013. I started my term January 2014. So now I'm completing my 8th year as the council president for the city of Dearborn because I was actually re-elected in 2017 as well.
Okay. How many Arab American we have at the city council?
So there's myself, there's Councilman Mike Cirini,
Yes.
and then we have Councilman David Bazzi and Councilman Robert Abraham that are of Arab American heritage as well. Councilman Bazzi's father is Lebanese American, as well as same thing for Bob Abraham. His dad is Lebanese American.
Yes. If you could me in general before you come to your election, what's the city council do as you as a president? What's your daily operation dealing with the citizen of City of Dearborn?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question, Wally, because sometimes there's not an idea or a clear understanding of what the role is for city council. And pursuant to the charter for the city of Dearborn, the city council is basically the legislative body. What were the responsibilities? The two main responsibilities we're charged with is first we legislate. So essentially, we make laws, we create laws, we modify laws, or we eliminate laws within the city of Dearborn. So ordinances. So if there's a new law, a new city ordinance that we want to create, it would need a majority vote of the city council to approve that. And the same thing if we want to modify or even to delete or eliminate from our code of ordinances. The second thing that City Council is responsible for is budgeting. So we approve the budget. We are supposed to pass a budget each year. What the mayor prepares the budget based on his department, the needs of his departments and administration, gives it to the City Council. We held or conduct several study sessions, quite a few study sessions each year related to just budget. And then, we make modifications and then ultimately we vote to pass the budget. And so any funding that the administration requires usually goes to the City Council.
Great.
Which is very different than what the administration is charged for. I see a lot of people believe that City Council is responsible for running the city or managing the city or the different departments, and that's not the case. We do not have those responsibilities or those powers.
Okay. What kind of role you played as City Council and City Council President when we had the flood in City of Dearborn?
So, I just explained that we're responsible for legislation and for budget.
Yes, but
and
again,
so
because it's something affecting the whole city, so you should have some kind of role to helping the citizen too.
Oh, absolutely. And so our role really is, if we're going to go based on the charter, we're limited to budgeting and approving funding for, spending that the administration needs to address the flooding. And so I'll give you an example. Like I called for a meeting. The flood happened Friday night in the early hours of Saturday morning. And so I called for an emergency meeting the Saturday at 11 a.m. The council met along with the administration, and we discussed what was happening. And then I made a motion to approve funding for cleanup efforts or anything else related to this emergency.
Yes.
And so what we did was we allocated $500,000 that first meeting, and then 2 days later on Tuesday, or 3 days later, we added an additional $1.3 million. So a total of $1.8 million that we allocated for cleanup efforts,
Very good.
as well as anything else that may be needed.
I see. As your profession are attorney, and you are very well knowledge about the law and the regulation, and that help for somebody like your background to be a city council president.
Oh, absolutely. It's been very useful. Obviously, having that legal education, the legal background, allows me to see things through a different lens, and it prompts me to ask questions that that I'm able to come up with or figure that we need answers to
Sure.
based on that background and experience.
Yes.
So it's been very useful. And I'll give you another point on that.
Sure.
So you asked me earlier, your role as the council president during the flooding situation. So I kind of stepped out or beyond that role and have really worked with the different department heads and the administration to make sure that everything and anything that we could do to help our residents, we did. Whether it's helping residents remove things from their basements, whether it was getting the funding, like we said, getting contractors and GFL and other municipalities to come together so that we can remove all the debris, the flood debris on the curbs in less than 10 days. So there's so much more that we do outside of our scope, but again, in times of crisis, we need to do that. We need to help our fellow residents, and so we operate as our residents' voice as well.
Great. I know you're running for election for the mayor. The mayor is not running, right?
Correct.
So you're running for the mayor of Dearborn. Tell me what about how is your campaign going?
Well, it's going very well.
Yes.
I'm very proud of the team that I have and that I'm leading right now. My team is made up of Dearborn people and people that have been involved in Dearborn for a very long time and understand the landscape along with me. We are doing everything from door knocking, phone banking, reaching out to people through social media or through mail. But I think the most rewarding experience has been the door knocking, getting people at the doors, being able to listen to them and see what their concerns are, or what they're looking for in a mayor, what they're looking for from their city. And that really helps shape my platform and my vision for Dearborn in the future.
Okay. Well, the primary is August 3rd, and the hottest issue now for Dearborn, again, we go to the flooding. As a mayor, and this has been honestly continuing situation in the city of Dearborn. As a mayor, what you plan to avoid again from the flood to happen?
So I will tell you, Wally, I'm actually not waiting to become mayor to do anything. What we did, I asked for, along with my colleagues, is we have asked that the administration bring in, submit an RFP, a request for proposal, to bring in a third-party independent evaluator of our system. So we need somebody from the outside coming in to investigate what happened regarding the flood, but in addition to that, to take a really long and strong look at our sewer system. Our sewer system is over 100 years old, and so obviously it wasn't built to today's standards, and so we need experts in the area to evaluate what it is that we can do to improve our system to minimize the consequences of heavy rains. I mean, we are living in a time where we are now going to expect more rainfall as climate changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not just the resident. We're talking about the highways, the street. I mean, it's a major problem, and it need to the state and the federal get involved to fix this. And we need a good leadership, honestly. And I know you very well. You have all the qualification. And we need a very good leadership to solve this problem because it's becoming a major to the citizen of Dearborn.
And you bring a very good point, Wally, that I think more people are starting to understand and recognize. Dearborn wasn't the only city that flooded. It's a regional issue. Back in 2014, we had widespread flooding. And then, now this brings us fast forward to 2021. We've had flooding in Dearborn Heights,
Detroit,
Point, Detroit.
Yes.
I mean, this is a regional issue. And so we as a city need to demand that our state and federal partners get involved and understand that this is something that no individual city can handle on its own, financially, or and thinking about, think of it this way: Dearborn is at the bottom of the Rouge River watershed.
Yes.
So when it rains in Brighton and Norfolk and these other areas that are north of us, and that water is coming down the Rouge River towards Dearborn, So our water levels on the Rouge is elevating. Now when we have heavy rainfall too, the river is already high, and so it all contributes to that issue. We're having, people are building more, and so there's less surface area, less natural surface area for water to just soak into the soil and the grass.
Yes.
And so, they're building out there. They're also experiencing heavy rains, and that's all trickling down to cities like Dearborn and Dearborn Heights and Detroit. And so all of that those are all layers to this problem that we need to address. And so no city can address it on its own. And so I really hope, and I'm working to see that if our federal and our state partners can get involved in terms of finding a regional solution as well as funding. I'm working to see how we can get federal funding and state funding to do the work that we need to do to minimize future flooding of our homes.
Yeah. Susan, another issue, education. Education is becoming very important to every family.
Absolutely.
And we have many members of the Dearborn citizen that they have speaking second language is the English is second language. Let's put it this way, okay? So what you doing? What kind of role you're going to play as a mayor to enhance the school systems and work to get better education for our children?
So the school system is actually not under the jurisdiction of the local government.
Yes.
So the mayor and the city council don't have any powers related to the school system. That's under the school, the school board trustees are responsible for that. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that we can't partner up to work together to make decisions that would best serve both the city and the school system.
Yes, yes.
And obviously, for me, a primary issue is, our children get a wonderful education, a good, solid education that will help prepare them for the future. But in addition, it does affect our city because if you have a strong school system, that means stronger property values and in turn a better city overall. And so, for the last decade or so, I've been serving as a board member and as a co-chair for the last 6-7 years of the Dearborn Education Foundation. And yes, we're a nonprofit organization. We've raised over $1 million over the last 10 years and given back to Dearborn public school teachers to use in their classrooms for things that are not covered under their school budget. So it's about strengthening what our teachers can do to help, to teach our students. And beyond that, I do meet with our school board trustees and see what it is that we can do to partner up together to improve their work and our work. And we've done that. And so as mayor, I'll continue those partnerships. I will strengthen them. I do feel that, for example, recreational purposes, usage of the school parks or the gyms, allowing for after-school activities for our children, to give them something other than being on their electronic systems, whether it's a video game or a laptop, but giving them another option that will keep them engaged, physically active, and having them interact with other children is very important. And also doing educational type services about drug abuse, mental health issues, cultural diversity. Those are very important for me, and I look forward to working with our school partners to develop those types of programs and implement them throughout our city.
Great. We have the business community in Dearborn. Honestly, we have many strip. They take an old building and they create a most beautiful strip out of it. What kind of role are you going to play as a mayor to work with the business community, enhance their business there, and work with them to honestly doing better business in the city of Dearborn?
Oh yeah, that's a very important issue for me as well. I mean, Dearborn's heartbeat is our small business community, and a lot of them are, first-time shops or restaurants or retail businesses that open up, and there's a large immigrant community that drives that type of economic growth here in Dearborn. And so there's two things that I would do. The first thing is I do feel that our permitting process is quite cumbersome. And we need to be implementing a lot more technology within the way we do things at the City of Dearborn. That's one of my platform items or issues that I address on my website. But I would like to implement a system where we can track where, if you are a business owner and you apply for a permit, or if you're a homeowner and you want to do construction,
Yes.
you should be able to identify where it is in the process. Additionally, I'm going to implement a policy where we have to give a response, whether it's an approval or request for additional information or deny, whatever it may be.
And a quick one, not waiting 6 months, a year to get the license or to get the permit.
Exactly. And so what I plan on doing is, giving that response within a shorter time frame and giving a deadline that people can expect when they file something. So that's one thing. But it's using technology to help streamline that process and eliminate these bottlenecks that have been created over years.
Yes.
The other thing is, I think that we as a city need to do a better job at marketing ourselves and marketing what it is that we have to offer and incentivize companies to come choose Dearborn, whether through its tax abatements or showing them why Dearborn is where they should build their next project or start up their business. And so we would like to do a market analysis that will identify which properties are underutilized and then actively go out and attract investors. And this analysis will allow future business owners to have access to information regarding these plots. And also, I want to identify grants for small businesses. I'd like to create
That'd be great. Yes.
Yeah, and I'd like to create an incubator and accelerator space so that businesses come in and see what it is. They can have startups here in our city. We're the hometown of Henry Ford. What better startup entrepreneurial model than that? And so giving those opportunities is important to me.
Great.
To our businesses.
Yes, you mentioned, Dearborn is a multi-ethnic minorities. How are we going to work with all those ethnic minority to bring them together to benefit the city of Dearborn?
You asked me earlier about educating people, especially given the fact that we're bilingual. We have a lot of members that are bilingual or speak, Arabic or English or both,
yes.
Or whether it's Spanish. And so, in my opinion, I think it's important that we offer information in Arabic as well. And so.
But you have other minority like the Polish and so. What's your plan to work all together? We cannot concentrate in one minority. When there is other. Yeah.
I agree. So Dearborn is a rich melting pot of different backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Whether it's ethnicity, race, socioeconomic background. Just a really rich, diverse community. And so, for me, I would continue to focus on having programs that are conducive to learning about each other and working with each other and living with each other, working with our interfaith communities, our nonprofits as well, to bring people from these different backgrounds together and invite each other to learn about who we are and what we have to offer. Working with our chambers of commerce as well to bring in. To bring these people together and be able to learn, it's not about coexisting, it's about how can we complement each other and raise each other and benefit each other together here in the city of Dearborn.
Absolutely. We are in a COVID time, and I believe the percentage of the people who got the vaccine in city of Dearborn, I don't want to say low, but not high. As a mayor, what kind of campaign are you going to do to get the people vaccinated, and especially, let me say, in the Arab American community?
It's about education, and providing opportunity as well. As the council president, I went out of my way to help people during the COVID pandemic, whether it was, finding ways we could secure grants or funding for our small business community or people that were going through a rough time,
yes.
with foreclosures or tenant eviction, but also and are getting PPEs for our seniors and our hospitals. I did that very early on in the pandemic. But in addition to that, getting the vaccine is very important. Before the city was able to open up its vaccination center, I worked actually on my own to obtain 500 vaccines from DMC to our most vulnerable residents, and that's our senior citizens. And so I reached out to our nonprofits, our senior buildings, and I arranged for 500 individuals to go to DMC and get a vaccine. And then obviously myself along with my colleagues approved all the funding and anything necessary to get the Dearborn vaccination clinic up and running, and people were able to get vaccines over there. But to continue that, we need to educate as to the importance of vaccines, and we need to continue to make it available for people that are willing to get the vaccine. And education shouldn't stop. Language should not be a barrier to that education. So it's getting that information out, whether it's through different mediums, whether it's through social media, a newspaper, or a TV, or radio, or in Arabic, Spanish, English, or any other language that we feel is necessary, and getting it to and getting it through different stakeholders, our chambers, our nonprofit organizations.
Absolutely, you have the access, the Arab American Council, the Arab American Chamber of Commerce, and we have over 17 different campaigns that the state put with MEA TV and Radio for educating the community. Susan, we broadcast in every state in the nation. And we have over 230,000 daily viewers. What's your message to them for the going and vote and the importance of the vote? We're talking especially the Middle Eastern community.
I often say that your voice is heard through voting. And what I mean by that is that everyone has an opinion about what they need or what they want out of, whether their government, whether it's local, state, county, or federal. And in order to ensure that your voice is heard, we need to vote. Because generally speaking, when candidates are running, the unfortunate reality is they look and see where do the votes come from.
Exactly.
And if they see that a certain area is voting 2-1 or 3-1 in comparison to another area, where they're going to be placing most of their focus or campaigning on. It's going to be in the area that's heavily voting. And so they're going to listen to their issues, their concerns. And so if we vote more, then now you are demanding to be heard.
Yes.
You're demanding from those that are running for public office or those that are currently serving as a public official to come and listen to you. And I don't believe that should be the case. I do believe that whether an area votes or not, our public officials, your public servants should be listening to each and every resident that lives within their jurisdiction. But again, I'll talk about reality. Reality is they also focus on those that are voting most. So I encourage everyone to vote. And now it's easier than ever. You don't have to vote in person. You can vote by absentee. You don't need to be a senior citizen. You don't need to be traveling. You can choose to vote absentee at any time. And so what I've been telling people is that, obviously I was encouraging people to apply for an absentee ballot. This time I would encourage people to just go in person. They can stop by our local city, Dearborn Administrative Center, our local clerk's office. It takes 5 minutes.
Yes.
And if you're not registered to vote, you can still vote. That's another change in state law that has made voting even easier. You no longer have to vote far in advance. You can vote and, you no longer have to register far in advance. You can register and vote the same day. And I remember during the primary election, presidential election, I was at the clerk's office, and we had an overwhelming amount of Arab Americans come in, first-time voters, got registered same day and voted same day, and I thought that was quite impressive and such a great way to exercise your democratic right, your right to vote, and that's how you can voice what you want, the change you seek, and having your issues and needs addressed by those that are in public office.
Great. And you know, as you mentioned, he doesn't have to wait till Tuesday, August 3rd. Any person could go anytime to the clerk office in the city of Dearborn and do the voting, you know. You fill up the application and you said a couple of minutes, you know. Okay.
Absolutely. And the last thing I will encourage is,
Sure.
you know, make it a family affair. If you're going to go, take your spouse, take your children, take your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, or your neighbors. I've seen where people will take, a few homes will get together and they'll drive to City Hall and they'll vote, or they'll go on election day to their polling precinct and vote. And so make it a family affair, and that might encourage more and more people to vote.
Great. Well, thank you and good luck. And dear viewer, Susan Dabja, she ran for city council. She is the city council president. She approved herself. And she did an excellent job. And a person like this, we need her to be as a mayor, because if she do the same job she's doing right now as city council, that's exactly what the citizen of Dearborn need. So I encourage you first to go and vote for Susan Dabja for mayor. Thank you so much, Susan.
No, thank you, Wally. Thank you to all the MEA listeners and viewers, and I appreciate the time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
شلون كنا